Welcome back to Naperville, Lisle, Chicagoland, almost Chicago, whatever you want to call it. Jesse Matthews back here in studio, live on location. And from just a quick hop across the pond, I have got Paul Gallen joining me remotely to provide live commentary and expert analysis on this matchup between Jesse Day versus Dave Wiegand at board one. Quite an exciting conclusion to our last game there, Paul. Thanks for being there with us to watch it unfold.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, it was an exciting game. I think the time trouble for both players, especially for Dave, really was key. And, it's going to be interesting to see how Dave handles it. That was a bruising game for both players, and especially for the person who doesn't come out the other end as the winner. So he's lost 2 games in a row. And, yeah, hopefully Dave can, shrug that off and bring this home. But Jesse Day, on the other hand, will be wanting to peg him back, and he's been on a decent run himself by the looks of it. So yeah, this is going to be an important couple of games coming up for both players.
Just checking in our chat here, it looks like there's still some very active discussion as far as that last end game. Don't know if we're going to resolve that one anytime soon.
Yeah, I think it was one of those end games where we were all happy to be commentating on it rather than in the position themselves. I think time trouble definitely did not help Dave. He really needed a lot of time to try and work that out, and yeah, that would have been a tough one for him to take. But Evan played it really well and played a couple of very nice plays like retiling and peon just to generate a bit of play to keep the match alive, and it paid off for him.
Did it again.
So it looks like there's still some discussion going on behind the scenes related to pairings for the next couple of rounds. Looks like both of these players are waiting as well, possibly talking to directors off screen. So I'm not sure if that means that there's potentially discussion about the pairings for this round, or if it might be for the next round. Just waiting because Evans is not yet back in studio. But my assumption is that this is the game that we are keeping at board one for this round at least. We have this matchup and then one more to go for the day. There will be 3 tomorrow to conclude the Word Cup here in Chicagoland for 2022. Looks like there are potentially new pairings based on what's written in the chat, or never mind, that appears to be potentially trolly. Yeah, that's not a pairing that will be happening anytime soon.
Yeah, that's something I have to learn as a commentator for the first time, not to believe everything that's written in the chat.
Yeah, we do have people who like to be playful. It looks like Jeremy Koo's perspective in the super tight position. I think both Dave and Evan made some missteps. Yeah, probably with some perfect analysis, we would determine that as well. Exactly. So it looks like the players are good to go. We are keeping this matchup here at board one. Jesse Day to draw to begin this matchup in round 26.
Sorry to circumvent you guys.
And the last thing Dave will want is another bruising tactical game. He'll want a nice flowing game with a few early bonuses and get back on track to arrest the slide. And Jesse
absolutely dreadful pickup. I think GBVVD exchange with DR left. It was a very fast change. I'm not sure if I saw those 5 letters.
Yeah, I think you're right, Jesse. Yeah, he didn't actually have a valid play.
All right, I'm going to get caught up when I can. If you guys can just write down the racks while I'm recovering from a pairings emergency.
We think it was BDVV and N possibly as well.
All right, I'm not ready yet, but I will be.
Another very constant heavy rack for Jesse. He only has 1 vial on the exchange. Dave's got a lot of the vowels. So the chat is suggesting either adieu or audad. So whether Dave prefers the leave of IE versus AD. Looks like he's eyeing up adieu.
Thanks to all in the chat or keep me posted. I appreciate it. All right, so DR for Jesse and then Audad EI. I got you. Thank you a bunch. All right. As you guys can probably imagine, the source of the pairings crisis was figuring out when to pause the pairings to decide Gibsonizing or not Gibsonizing Dave, depending on his result. So that is the issue right now. Depending on how this next round goes, Dave might be Gibsonized for the championship or he might not. So we're going to pause on posting pairings for round 28 until we see how round 27 goes. And there is a little bit of griping going on among the directors. That's going to take a while because Jesse Day plays Scrabble really slow. So it might be a while until we know who plays who in round 28.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. All right, adieu is the play. Okay.
And it looks like Jeremy Hildebrand is pointing out this towel bag is fired. And I think with those first couple of polls, yeah, I would agree. That towel bag is got a little bit of job insecurity. Alex Singh says, these are the situations where both players would like to trade towels with their opponent, like in Settlers of Catan. Yeah, I could see it being that way, except in this case with Jesse Dave's rack, I would be singing the same song as I used to sing in Settlers of Catan when we would play online during the pandemic. Nobody wants your sheep, 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 sheep. And in this case, the sheep are all the consonants. Big Dig Blue asks, who is leading overall? That would be the one and the only Dr. Bing. Dave Wiegand is still ahead of the field.
But not ahead by quite as much as he was before. He has had 2 losses in a row for the first time all week long. Yeah, quick recap of the standings at the very top. We've got Dave Wiegand in first place with 20.5 wins in his first 26 games. And then Will Anderson and Jesse Day are at 17, both 3.5 back with 5 to play. So obviously very unlikely that Dave can be caught, but he does need to win here to control his own destiny. He doesn't get to coast to victory quite yet.
Yeah, so Jesse's looking at a number of different plays, obviously just using as many constants as he can. He's looking at Centum, which looks nice. Only disadvantage is that E dangling on the 4 timer. And in a previous game, Jesse played Meave instead of Veep. He didn't want to open up for Dave. So if I were a guessing man, I think he'll play a little bit tighter and maybe do a parallel play here. So he's looking at Mend. Keeps CRT, and he's got that A floating. Looks nice enough play to me. Oh, he's going Mend that way. Okay.
Mend looks pretty strong.
Yeah. I was thinking Mend the other way above the eye of Adieu, but that looks nice too. Yeah, so he looked at Centum, and again, I felt like he didn't want to open up for Dave. I think Dave has got a lot of respect from all the other players, and they don't want to be opening up nice floating tiles for him.
Nice
Man,
play
but
available here for Dave. You can turn in into dotting. That would triple the W and the G, so it would score pretty nicely, 24. You could also play ring, W-R-I-N-G, which is pretty similar. Yeah, thanks to the bot for getting us the standings in chat. You guys can check out all the information there for yourself. But yeah, as you can see, it is right now Wiegand in the driver's seat with Anderson, Day, Berofsky giving chase. And my headphones keep falling out of my ears. That's the other update. Okay, we're all fixed now. It's just been a frazzled kind of afternoon, Jesse.
It has
Frazzled
been
afternoon.
indeed.
You don't expect to be doing Gibsonizing math when you still got 5 rounds to go. It kind of threw me off. Looks like ring. Okay. Seems pretty solid. And he does not give Jesse the S he needs for fiercest.
35.
We'd be seeing fiercest similarly.
I think, yeah, it's the second time fiercest has come up, right? Somebody got a miss of fiercest earlier in the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And Dave will be very happy. He's just picked the blank to go alongside that DATS.
Ooh, okay.
So he's got bonuses. Bandits. And possibly a 4-timer. Onto rings. Can't see it immediately, but doesn't mean that there's nothing there. Bastide as well with the E.
Wow, Jesse's already 5 minutes in. We're going to have a whole lot of players waiting a whole long time on their pairings. At this rate, anyway. See, Henny in chat says one of my dad's favorite words is bastards.
Nice little play could be something like EF, emend, sets up remand, and his T as well, impedes that S hook of ring,
That's interesting.
keeps citer. Yeah.
And it looks like that's what he's going to do. Very nice. Ourselves a nail biter of a game, 36 to 35.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Right.
you could have played the same 2 tiles with FE onto ring, the W of ring, but I think EF just offers more for his rack, and he's landed on reticle and TRCL. So Jesse rewarded for a nice play there.
So there are 2 bingos in this 7-tile rack. He's got Bandits and Bastide, and quite a few places to play both of them.
Got another compliment about my smooth jazz voice. I'm delighted with this. Paul Smooth Jazz Gallen.
There you go. I think I'm going
Sounds
to be out of a
good.
job soon here. Everyone loves him.
I'm not sure if it's everyone or if it's just repeatedly Scott. This is what Scott does. He comes up with one joke and he just beats it to death.
Oh.
Scott makes fun of me for doing this too. We do it to each other. I won't repeat on the air the kinds of jokes I've made about Scott. They're not fit for television.
Aperture says it really makes me feel like I'm watching a snooker match. It's great. Cool.
All right, Bandits is coming. That appears to be one of the highest scoring bingos he's got. It's either Bandits and Adios for 77 or it's Bastide and Rings for 78.
112.
And it's back to Jesse. with his choice of bingos himself, I believe.
Annie Blanc asks, how long has there been a Scrabble Twitch channel? When I was growing up, there was something, I'm guessing was censored, and various Usenet. I don't think it's actually been around for as long as one would think. I think if I understand correctly, it might have happened after Scopely got the rights to Scrabble Online. But if someone knows more of the history to that, they can correct me. But definitely not for that long, relatively speaking, compared to, say, the chess presence that you see on Twitch.
And Dave was probably feeling very good after that bonus, and he's just picked an absolutely horrendous rack.
Oh dear God.
After changing twice in the previous game, he's now going to have to almost certainly change again. I can't really see anything that's going to prevent an exchange here. And Jesse's going to go very aggressive here and dangle an E out. And little does he know that Dave doesn't really have anything to capitalize on it. So if Dave exchanges, Jesse's going to have a free run at a lot of nice floaters there.
Yeah, there's not really any play at all through that E. It's either exchange or it's play burr and ram for like 12 or whatever that is.
And Jesse's.
Yeah, let's see what Jesse draws.
Oh,
That's going to be
he's
pivotal. Oh, yeah, his
Fine.
rack's not great either.
It's looking like a bunch of gook. Listeem asks, will there be finals, by the way? No, there is no best of anything finals. It is just 31 rounds of play, and at that point, there will be a champion crowned, or technically before that point, depending on how things go. But after 31 rounds, the tournament is over.
Feel the burn, says Jucko. Yeah, it's really all that you can feel. There's nothing else available to you. I would probably exchange 5 and keep NR. He's going to exchange 6, keeping just R. Okay. So the score remains 115-112. Jesse just slightly ahead and on turn. And he appears to have Uzo lined up on his rack.
Very tasty beverage, I must say.
Not to be confused with orzo, a very tasty pasta.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so both players leaving that E in the triple wide open, which is pretty unusual, but given their racks, you can understand why.
Yeah, and the rack looked okay for Dave whenever he started picking out, but I don't see anything bingo-y for him. And the natural play is that he's just going to take that E out in some sort of play. Maybe something like Griple, Griple.
Oh, nice rifle, yeah.
Oh, great, that's very good. Alex Ding just suggested triple to the triple. Very nice, but Gripple seems to be even better.
Meanwhile, Jesse's draw is looking pretty tenuous.
Tenuous, yeah, tenuous on the Sam.
Oh, there's also tenuous through the I. Forgot about that one.
Yeah, very nice.
Good job in chat pointing that one out. Oh yeah, Scott pointing out that tenuous plus an H would be nut house.
Would that be another name for the Wenyu?
So Dave is taking his time here, but if you know the word Griple and see the word Griple, I think it's pretty clear.
Yeah, he's lined it up, he's spotted it.
There we go. Yep, yep. Or he'll try Griplet. No.
36.
That's a good play, Dave. Keeps ET.
And they're going to challenge. Yep. It is one of those 6s that doesn't take an S or anything, so not everybody knows words like Gripple or is sure of them. Jesse just wants to check. So +5. Dave.
Says Dave is no dummy. Indeed, he is not. The man knows some words. By some, I mean pretty much all of them.
All the 6-letter words, 7-letter words, 8-letter words, 9-letter words. If you're ever like stuck at an airport layover with Dave, he'll just pull out his phone and be like, "You want to look at random tens?"
Yeah, he does this.
He's learning the tens as well. Don't mess with that man's word knowledge.
So what do we think Jesse's going to play? Is he going to go tenuous or is he going to go tenuous?
Yeah, Tenuius is 4 points more.
Yeah, he spotted it.
And yeah, it looks like he's just going to play right away. Okay.
Nice play.
So Jesse is going to pull ahead by 59 points. Nope.
Ooh.
Math fail, 61.
And Dave's got a lovely pull, which will negate.
Oh, okay then. Jesse's draw was tenuous and Dave's was the meanest.
Mean Dave.
Well, despite how nice Dave's rack looks, he doesn't have any bingos that score too much. I mean, his highest score possible is just 71 with Telemann, making ST at the bottom there. There's no like massive bonuses here, just kind of regular sized ones. Could do something from the L, but that's you don't want to do line mate or lavement. That just opens up a giant double for your opponent to hit. Yeah, probably Telemann here is the choice.
And then as pointed out in the chat, Heather looks like a pretty strong play for Jesse Day. Next turn, clear the T in Tenuius that he was just put down.
Oh, yeah, very nice. And he's already got it arranged. Yep, look at that.
I can't help but usually use the word hither with a bit of a improvised posh accent because I would just never use that otherwise in regular conversation. Come hither.
Yeah, and Jesse's been rewarded for playing tenuous and spotting it. Very easy to throw down tenuous very quickly, but he saw one of the tricky to see 5 violates tenuous for extra points and doesn't give Dave as much counterplay as tenuous would have done. So nice job, Jesse. And as well, the tenuous play gives him hither too.
There's a question of whether there's a 9 through the TR on the board with Dave's rack.
The TR.
So the T and
Oh, that T and that R, I see.
With common enough letters, you would think it would be possible.
Just a couple tiles off from tent maker. You just got to move the T up a couple. Other than that, no. Looks like Dave is arranging emanate on his rack. I was going to say, what's the valid word there? And now he's telling us, eat me. That's just rude.
That's what all the DoubleTree cookies say to me when I see them here. And I happily oblige.
Certainly that Italian beef sandwich for lunch was saying, eat me. And
it did not survive the afternoon. I am happy to report.
Jesse's just got hither lined up, ready to go, just waiting for Dave to make his play first.
I think we've had a few players sending messages via their racks.
Yes.
Can't remember the other.
Conrad is definitely a fan of doing that.
Yeah, Conrad does all the time. UX Loser was probably one of my favorite
UX
ones.
Loser, yeah. I'm getting a message from my co-director saying that Dave looked directly at the camera right after he arranged the letters in Eat Me.
Yep.
So I did not notice that myself.
Yeah.
Good catch.
Dave was considering Nestmate briefly, it looks like. No shortage of options.
But all of them are a little bit dangerous. There's no like non-dangerous bingo.
And just another thing to keep an eye on. Dave's down to 11.5 minutes.
Yeah.
There's still quite a few tiles to go, so he just has to be careful in case this turns into another end game type scenario that he has the time for it.
Right, so he's going to Reminette,
That's-
it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, computer says that Telemann is a little bit better, even though it does open that triple-triple. You're getting 6 points more, and Reminette is not great defensively either, since you're giving your opponent some comebacks to the triple on the left as well.
Yeah, he nodded at his head whenever he played it, so I'm not sure if he's 100% happy with it, but he's just gone for it, and I think he's done the right thing and just getting something down and getting moving. As I say, he's just a tiny bit low on time at the minute.
It's important for Jesse to pause and not just play hither right away, because he's got, okay, good. He does see the play that's opened up that's better than hither. He sees Harry. A lot of players on that slot would just play hither instantly, but Jesse pauses, looks at the new position, and reevaluates. Very smart.
Yeah, and Dave nods his head there. He knows that he would rather have avoided that, and now he's got a very, very clunky rack
Ooh.
and a big deficit.
Yeah, he's in trouble all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Looked pretty good when he had that bingo rack after Gripple, but not so much anymore.
So at first glance, I can see Jubas onto the U Tenuous, but the leave is pretty terrible. FCV.
Seems like basically anything that you play here, you're gonna be leaving something awful. But it also seems like it would be wrong to change. Lewis,
Yeah.
Lewis suggests that vocab to set up the S is possible. It doesn't score much though. Yeah, this is exactly. You just wrote that as well. And I feel like especially in Dave's position, you really have no choice but to score in some way. So Juba's, like you said, definitely among the most high-scoring options. Jab just above Reminette, but that doesn't really give you anything on the board. Like an interesting position here.
I think this position requires a major shift in game plan, because I think a lot of Scrabble players in a lot of situations will just think, my goal at all times is to groom my rack for a bingo as soon as possible, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes you got to reevaluate and say, you know what, bingoing is just not going to happen. So I'm going to shift my focus to just scoring points as much as possible these next few turns and just forget about bingoing, because if you keep a leave like, J, V, F, then like you just got to find a new way to outscore. What does he do? He plays
Java.
Java. Okay. That's a big point sacrifice compared to Juba. It's 14 less.
Interesting. The market over really clunky together.
I can understand it a bit. I mean, he obviously didn't love the FCV leave, and he just wanted rid of that JV combination as soon as possible. It also kept a vowel, which on the draw after Java, he's only got one vowel still. So, yeah, tough one for Dave.
I'm looking for ways that Jesse can score decently with this rack without opening anything up for Dave. Perhaps Hioi, Hioi, in the top left next to Java is an option, scoring 26. He's got other plays that are a little bit precarious. You could play Hoisin for 35 at the bottom making SH, but that opens up a triple for your opponent that maybe you don't want to. This is a tough one. Surprisingly, Jesse is doing much better on the clock than Dave, which you don't usually see in this matchup.
This is pretty unusual.
I'm just going back through the players' decisions. I guess Dave had some harder choices to make than Jesse. Like Jesse played, his bingos of radical and tenuous pretty quickly. Although he also made some not so obvious plays quickly, like EF was hard, Uzo was hard because that opened triple with the E. So he's managing the clock really well.
Joe Ho 5 asks, can you talk through what all you think about before exchanging? Yeah, that's a really essential part of your strategy, is figuring out when it is time to change, and if you do, what you consider. Part of what you would consider does involve to some degree what's left in the tile bag and what's on the board. That's more of what I would call the dynamic part of what you consider an exchange, but the more static part of it, you can pretty reliably use whenever you're considering an exchange. So that would be how well the letters that you keep work together. We talk about all the letters in the word retains as being the most, having the most synergy, because they combine to create the most words of 7 and 8 letters long. So if you're trading, there's certain combinations of subsets of those letters that work best together. And then that's what you're usually trying to keep in some form on an exchange, so that you can hopefully use all of your letters on a future turn at the same time. That'll be a shorter version of the answer, but that's the static part of what you consider for an exchange. And essentially, when you're exchanging, you're thinking that over the next 2 turns, including the exchange, you're going to do better than you would by just playing through the letters that you have for at least 2 turns.
So there was us saying that Jesse was playing quite quickly. He's now taking a good bit of time over this move. Quite a few suggestions in the comments, things like Hiois onto the S of tenuous and Hoisin as well.
Hoisin is tasty.
I suppose an interesting point is that they both have each of the last 2 S's. I think the other S's are on the board yet, and 2 blanks are gone, so whoever plays theirs first might give the initiative to the other to maybe make some sort of S setup, something like that. Another suggestion of Hioi up at the top with the J of Java. Keeps LNS.
Looks like there's some debate about playing the S versus holding onto it in this position. Seems like Hioi and Hiois are the two that in the most discussion, though Lewis has suggested a hint as a potential play as well. Looks like we're seeing Hiois go for maximal points in this position.
Yeah, and as I said, now Dave has the S. You could be tempted by some sort of S setup here, like Fib on the Hiois, but probably doesn't score enough. But those type of things are possible now.
And on the score, 303, 246, calf without considering what it does for the board is certainly a candidate option, given both blanks are gone and both H's are gone, so that C's on top of the triple word score is relatively benign. But a setup play of some sort might be better.
All right, we have an update on the standings. So we have Dave and Jesse, who are in first place and third, playing each other right now. Will Anderson was in second going into this round. Will was paired against Chris Lipe, and we just got word that Will won 506 to 421 against Chris.
Wow.
What that means is, regardless of the outcome of this game, win or lose for Dave, Will's going to be in second place either way. And that means next round, we're going to get Will versus Dave on table one.
Wow.
So Will Anderson, regardless of this result, is still in contention. And regardless of this result, he will face Dave Wiegand in round 28 coming up next.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that.
Will is on an incredible run. In case you haven't heard, he started this tournament 4-7, and he has been absolutely crushing it ever since then. He has
18 and 9.
Yeah, he's come roaring back.
That's
Yeah, so it's
14
going to
and
be
2.
Will versus the Bing on this board coming up. All right, so it looks like CAF was played while I was given that update, and that's 35 points more for Dave Wiegand, making this a pretty close game. Rio 281 is going to be your updated score.
Although Dave has not pulled super well following that play.
Wow, certainly not.
Yes, Donna. Will Anderson did eat his Wheaties.
And if Jesse wins this game, wow, the pairings get, or the standings get really crazy. It's going to be 20 and a half, 18, 18. So all three of them still in contention.
Matthew Tunnicliffe says, imagine being 4-7 and the pairings give you an angry Will to play against.
Yep. Also, the person who was 4-7 was Joel Wapnick.
Yeah.
Imagine that you're looking at the 4-7 tables and it's Will Anderson against Joel Wapnick,
Yeah, that's pretty great.
two world-class players.
Will is in the stream. Hello, William. Nice to see you. I was very gracious to everyone I pulverized on my ascent up the standings. You'll love to see it.
All right, so we got an update on the standings, or on the pairings, excuse me. It will be Will against Dave coming up next, and then on board 2, it's going to be Evan Berofsky against Jesse Day. Those are your pairings for the next round.
Will, can you hear us with the sound? Let us know. Or are you just watching the chat and seeing the feed?
I suppose he knows we're talking about him, so he must have some audio.
I'd like to see. I just want to confirm first.
I see a mention from Scott in the chat about Gibson versus Nigel in 2012. Yes, I lost a lot of money on that.
Oh.
The situation there was all David Gibson had to do was not lose to Nigel by 178.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's no way Gibson's losing by 178. I'll bet you 50 to 1 odds. Give me $1 and I'll pay you 50 if I'm wrong. And I lost $50.
Yeah, that was quite the game. And it's just so strange because as people who are familiar with David Gibson's playing style would have known. He
Exactly.
doesn't usually ever lose by that kind of a spread.
All that
he would
defense.
lose.
Yeah. All right. Livider for 22 points from Jesse. Decent score. And the board's getting pretty difficult here for Mr. Wiegand.
And Jesse's just drawn really nicely. A
Ooh.
relation in the top left-hand corner,
Yep.
Wow.
and it's unlikely to be blocked because
Yeah.
Dave's going to play Briny.
And we have us a tournament, y'all.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. So for Jesse, relation looks like pretty clearly the best play.
Mm.
There's no other bingo possible. You can check your tracking later, man. Play the only bingo first. What's he doing?
I don't know if I'm imagining it, but I feel like Dave has picked so many consonants in this game. He just seems to be constant heavy racks. Not many boils in this game at all.
Yeah, I would agree, because you think about some of Jesse's plays, Hyois, Tenuius, Uzo, was that Dieu Jesse as well?
Dieu was Dave, because Jesse exchanged.
Okay, so that was Dave's one.
So Dave used all his vowels on the first turn.
Yeah, since then he hasn't had that many.
All right, here comes relation. Jesse's going to take an 86-point lead with 4 tiles in the bag. And I'm going to bring up the unseen tile pool in about 5 seconds. Hold on. All right, so we're going to have the tiles coming out. And there's an 86-point deficit with 4 tiles in the bag for Dave Wiegand. I don't think he's got a chance here. Well, maybe. Hold on. If he plays wax... No, I mean...
There's a suggestion of Twang instead to score, perhaps keeping the X for other plays. Haven't worked through the math for that, but interesting suggestion.
I mean, it's just the problem of no matter what high scoring play you choose, like what's next, you know?
Oh, but no, there's no Q stick on this board. JD's got a Q without an I or U, but there's at least 2 QI spots. So
Yep.
Q stick's not a factor. All right, Will is putting Twitch away. Very good. Cough and cough have been pointed out as options as well. Yeah, there's definitely no Q stick going on here. And Donna, yes, Jesse Day is a very strong player.
You kind of have to be this far in the tournament.
I am very proud of my namesake. Being the best Jesse in the world. I'm fighting for second.
Oh, he's fighting for first. He's got a shot.
No, I mean, he's fighting for first, certainly. I mean, like, as far as best Jesse goes, I have no shot.
Oh, you're fighting for second. Okay, yeah.
I'm fighting for second best Jesse. He's clearly the first.
Yeah, and just going back over through the game, if Dave loses, as I think he probably will here, I mean, he's played very well, and I think the only thing I can see is the Reminette play. Potentially he could have gone for something else, but the reply of HERY seemed to be a real killer for him.
Yeah.
I think if he had played, you know, it's all F spots and maybe Teleman, just with the rack he subsequently picked up, he could have had Jubas potentially over on the right-hand side. Jesse plays Heather, and Dave plays Jubas. Potentially that might have worked out much better for him. It just shows you the small margins at high-level Scrabble.
Absolutely. Yeah, very difficult position here for Dave. If anybody in chat's got any brilliant ideas, let us know. But yeah, not seeing much hope for him. Just a reminder, Dave's currently at 20.5 wins, Jesse at 17. So if Jesse pulls this out, it'll be Jesse 2.5 games back and Will Anderson also 2.5 games back. So 3 people still very much in contention to win this tournament with 4 rounds to go after this one.
And what's in the bag, Evans?
That's a great question. Let me check. So Jesse has a KOPQ.
L-E-A and an O, I think. I think Aloe's in the bag.
That sounds right. Aloe, A-L-O-E. Those are the 4 tiles in the bag.
So in the chat, Jeremy says, after wax and ba, Jesse can't block all the bingo, so Dave has some shot. Interesting.
Wax and ba? Does he get two
Wax
turns in a
slash
row?
ba.
Oh, wax. Oh, that wax ba. I see.
So on the top right.
You can't block all of them. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think from Dave's point of view, he may as well just go for it. Top right-hand side and hope that he just gets a nice pickup. And that Jesse blocks the wrong area. Something like that. I think we've established if he plays elsewhere, he's just not going to have enough points to catch up. Jesse's rack is just too strong.
Yeah.
So you could draw like Gentoos on the far right. Yeah, that's interesting. And then you could draw something at the top. I guess Tangos doesn't quite fit.
Empty Bag of Stories asks, how many rounds are there? There are 31 rounds of play in total here. We are currently in round 27. Round 28 is coming up in about 10 minutes or so. That will be our last of the day before we come back at 9:30 a.m. Central Time for our last 3 games in the tournament.
Okay, so Jeremy points out that after wax, it'll be Tangelos unseeing from Jesse's point of view. Okay. So then what would he need to block? I guess he would need to block. Oh man, this is hard. Too many things he might have to block.
Yeah,
My brain hurts.
That's the point. I think that's part of what makes it so good.
Wow, look how much time Dave is burning off his clock. He's got a minute and a half.
Yeah.
All right. Wait, did he just turn the board? Oh wait, what did he
He
play?
has made a play. He put down
Wax at the bottom left. Okay, yeah, my screen's blurry. Wax on the bottom left. What is he going for there?
Richie points out, for once Jesse has time. Yes, that's true.
Yeah, so Dave has a longst at the top alongside a relation.
Oh, does it play?
Yes.
Yeah, so Jesse does need to block it.
Wow.
Now, if he had played wax on the top right-hand side, Jesse would have really had to guess.
So a longst is
What
the
Dave?
only bingo possible in this pool. And Jesse has 6 minutes to write down all the possible racks and prove that. So Jesse should be fine here as long as he figures this out and he's got time.
But if David played wax on the top right-hand side, from Jesse's point of view, he could have had ethelons on the right-hand side, and then Jesse's in a position of try and guess what Dave has. It probably is more likely that Dave has a rack with an E in it. So.
Oh, he would have had more stuff on the far right. There's legatos, there's gellants.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I think wax on the top right would have been brilliant.
Yeah, and deals also being mentioned. But there's still hope for Dave. Like Jesse still has to block it. Seems a pretty routine enough play, but
Guys, I'm really sorry about the pool. I don't know why our automated pool thing is being screwy, but I'm trying to update it manually. The letters in Tangelos, Tangelos, those are the actual tiles in the pool. The bag holds just an E, as Dave has a longst on his rack. All Jesse needs to do is realize that Dave has a longst and block it. He also needs to not get Q stuck. Like I think ordinarily I might play something like Powaka up top, but that would leave just the one spot for the Q. So I think you can't do that. Maybe just QI does the trick, up top above relation.
Queen out through bandits has been pointed out as one other way to deal with the Q and score relatively well. Knight Scrabbler points out that there would have been a response of open, woe, and bat and axe for a very large score if wax had been played at the top right. Which is fair, but a long scores a lot and then also would be 20 plus with the Q, so I don't have done the math on that, but that might have been interesting.
Yeah, the length of time that Jesse's taken over this, I feel like he's going to play QI above relation. And that leaves him with Proc on the left-hand side and then Nop KNOP on the right-hand side, and that'll be enough to outrun anything that Dave has. If he's worried about a Q stick. There's also Queena through the End of Bandits, as has been pointed out. So it looks like it's KNOP he's looking at, which will keep open the two QI spots, and that will do
there
the
you
job
go.
as well.
Smart. Yep.
That'll do the job as well. Yeah.
Looks great. Oh, tough one for Dave. I really think, I mean, he probably wins after wax on the other spot.
Yeah, I think he does. I think
Because Jesse would block the wrong spot and Dave would get a launch.
Yeah. I think someone in the chat mentioned that potentially Dave was trying to block QAT, but I still think wax on the top right is just the better path to victory there. So
Yeah, it's a brutal game.
yeah, another brutal game for Dave.
This will make 3 losses in a row. Looked like this tournament was over, and it turns out it is not over at all. Although it's worth pointing out that Dave still could be Gibsonized if he wins next round and Jesse loses.
Akratur said it's incredibly kind of Dave to make things interesting in this tournament.
Yeah. Probably a little bit too interesting for his tastes, but it is what it is. I'm sure Dave is big sad to see the longs to get blocked.
Jeremy says Dave is invoking Saint Logan. Nice. Donna points out that he could also play Groan, which is probably what he's doing right now. Well, I can't tell with that mask on his mouth, but yeah, he is probably groaning.
But from Jesse Day's point of view, just doing a quick rerun of of his moves, I think he's played this really well. I can't really think of anything that, represented a major mistake. I think he's played this really nicely.
Definitely, yeah. Oh, and he's got another play for the Q besides QI. He's got Queena.
That was pointed out.
Oh, okay. I guess that, yeah. Yeah, so Queena is the best play here for sure. But anything will win. Getting that score updated now. It should be after Nop and Grant. It should be 434 to 373. A little bit of lag on our internet here at the hotel getting that updated, but yeah, there we go. It's on the screen now. Did Jesse miss Queena? Or no?
Oh.
Wait, what happened?
Oh.
I don't see what Jesse did.
He played VOE. So I think Jesse hasn't spotted Queena.
Huh.
Has he? Yeah, I think he must have missed Queena.
Oh.
Or, well, he doesn't want to give up lots Queenas. So he's obviously done the maths. He thinks that BOE works out better.
It's a strange end game, but Jesse will still get the win. 448 to 411 is going to be your final, I believe. Ooh. So 3 straight losses for Dave Wiegand, and a tournament that appeared to be over is now anything but.
Yeah, we still have a race just yet.